Hello and welcome to this next episode of the Growth Strategist Chat Series. I'm delighted to be joined today by Terri Levine. Hi Terri, how are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to be here, Simon.
It's great to meet you. And so you are recognized as the Heartrepreneur. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
You did perfectly.
Perfect. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. You're the author of 40 books, including Turbocharge Your Business. You've been featured across 20 different media channels: Fortune, ABC, NBC, New York Times, Forbes, and the list just goes on. You have a PhD in organizational behavior. You're a master consultant and certified guerrilla marketing trainer and coach. So I'm interested in that as well. So welcome. And it's great to be talking to you. So maybe spend the first few minutes talking a little bit about you, your background, and how you got to where you are today.
Sure thing. Thanks again for having me. So I've been in business for 43 years, which means I started when I was 5. Yeah, right. And I have created 8 of my own multi-million-dollar businesses in all different kinds of industries. I've been in the coaching and consulting space for about 26 years. This is where I feel at home.
Yeah.
And my passion is helping other small business owners create a conveyor belt of qualified prospects to their business, convert those into sales without selling, and make more money and have more free time.
Wow. And it's interesting because, I do work with the Irish Small Medium Enterprise Organization, a government body here. And I think that's kind of top of the list right now of training subjects that they require, things like collaboration and, exporting abroad. All those things are kind of on the back foot. And what they really need help with is their sales funnel, sales resilience, how they set the right pricing at the right point. How do they develop those relationships? So I'm talking to the right person here, and and the members will be watching this as well when this goes out. So maybe explain a little bit about what you mean by heartrepreneur. What does that really encompass?
So many years ago, I don't remember, 6, 8, 10, time goes fast. I was writing a book for one of my publishers under contract, and it was all about business growth. And we were sitting down, we're in New York. I was at the time living in Philadelphia. And he all of a sudden looked at me and he said, "Well, I don't want that book." And I'm like, "What? We have a contract for this book." He goes, "No, no, no. Terri, I've known you for 11 years and you're a heartrepreneur. I want you to write that book." And I remember saying, "I'm a what?" And he said, "Just think about it." So on the train back from New York to Philadelphia, I had a long time to think.
Yeah.
And I realized the word resonated with me because I do business from heart.
Yeah.
I literally, within a week, changed the name of my company, trademarked the word heartrepreneur, changed my logo.
Yeah.
And what I mean by heartrepreneur is summed up in 3 words.
Yeah.
Doing business with transparency, integrity, and authenticity.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to do business in my experience. No more transactions.
No, that completely resonates with me. I mean, I've written a couple of books on deal making, and I lecture and train on negotiation, and I do some stuff in sales as well. And the common theme that I talk across the whole area is about authenticity. It's about the old days of thumping the table as the old salesperson and, traditional used car salesman type techniques. They've gone, particularly now with what's happening in the world. I think we've all become very cynical of those old school ways. And it's all about, would you agree, this period has really demonstrated that really has reinforced your work, that really it's more and more about value-based selling. It's about relationships. It's about providing rather than selling. Would you agree with that?
I would more than agree with that. I'm often asked, are you busy during this time? And I'm like, we are so busy. I've had to bring more consultants on the team because people really do want to learn this methodology at this particular time. And it's so important.
Yeah, I'm the same. People say exactly the same to me. And I almost feel a bit awkward because these last 4 months have actually been the busiest time for me, for my business in 3.5 years, And I think it's because, well, certainly for you and lesser so for me, it's because of all the work you've put in place to develop this methodology. But also, what I suppose what you've done is really just mirror the realities out there, that people are kind of burnt out with the old sales. So I mean, in terms of marketing, right? So you talk about guerrilla marketing, right? And
Mhm.
so what exactly does that mean? I've never heard that term before.
Oh, I
And and
love
and, and is it in any way related to the entrepreneur sales stuff, or is it completely different?
it actually ties in. So I'll explain this to you. J. Conrad Levinson is the father of the concept guerrilla marketing. And Jay had created all of the ads for the big brands like the Marlboro Man and Tony
Yeah.
the Tiger. He was the genius behind that. And Jay was also a college professor. And as a college professor, he had two students come to him, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. And they said, we're starting small businesses. We can't afford what a big company can afford with logos and jingles. So,
Yeah.
how do we do marketing? And Jay went to the library and he looked for books on this because he didn't know.
Yeah.
He found there was no one helping a small business owner. So, he wrote a book called Guerrilla Marketing.
Yeah.
And guerrilla marketing teaches low and no cost marketing. I had the privilege of writing two guerrilla marketing books with Jay before he passed.
Okay.
And guerrilla marketing's principles for every small business owner are about being creative in order to get the message in front of your prospects. So as a
Yeah.
entrepreneur, we want to help more people. We want to serve people. We want to do it in an ethical way.
Yeah.
We don't need fancy slogans and jingles. We just need a creative way to wake up the person's brain and go, oh, that's interesting. Let me pay
Yeah.
attention to your message. Does that make sense, Simon?
It does. It does. And I suppose that kind of leads then into my next question, which is around this whole area of, I train around self-awareness and situational awareness, and it's so critically important, and mindfulness as well. Being mindful, being aware of where you're at in a conversation, and it's interesting. We're looking at each other face to face online, different parts of the world. But the upside, it's funny. The upside is that we're completely focused, talking to each other. Which is, and I'll come on to that in a second. But how much of mindful based or heart based selling is about awareness, self and situational awareness?
So years ago, I wrote a book. It's called Sell Without Selling: Lessons from the Jungle for Sales Success. And
Wow.
here's what I really want your audience to hear. I, in the very beginning, had no idea how to sell in my first business. So I bought every book on sales. I worked
Yeah.
with every major sales trainer.
Yeah.
And here's what happened. I wasn't mindful. I was in a routine of just, I'll overcome every objection. I'll wear you down.
Yeah.
And I got home after my biggest sale and I threw up. I literally threw up. And my husband said, what is wrong? And I said, I wasn't even conscious of what I was doing. I was like a puppet show. I
Yeah.
threw everything away and I decided just to be fully present, like you and I are right
Yeah.
now, just to hear and listen. And if I could fulfill a need, to make an offer, not to overcome objections, not to manipulate, and not to use closing ever
Yeah.
again.
That's really interesting because I've got a similar story. I mean, I've got a good resume and I've been a senior executive and a lawyer and I've been an entrepreneur and blah, blah, blah. Okay. But I've always felt until very recently that the returns I was getting they weren't commensurate with the effort I was putting in. And looking back, I was pushing too hard. I was kind of a little bit numb and unconscious in my communication. So in the last 2 years, I've really focused heavily on this. And I'm, lo and behold, particularly this year, the connections I'm making, the opportunities that are coming have just surpassed my imagination. And I do think it's about, and you kind of go into this flow state that once you know how to communicate and connect and truly listen and not people please and not fill the gaps, then wonderful things can happen. But I think, would you agree that so many people are just rushing around like headless chickens and practicing the next techniques, and they're not slowing down and they're missing these opportunities? I see you nodding.
Yeah, and not only are they missing these opportunities, like even more sad for me is that they are missing life, right? All
Correct.
of us have our birth dates. We don't have our checkout dates. We don't know
Yeah.
when that is. So
Yeah.
I prefer to live in the moment
Yeah.
and to only do what is going to bring me joy and satisfaction in life and in business, being fully conscious, fully present, and making choices.
Yeah.
And that's what I really pass forward to all the businesses we work with at Heartrepreneur is stop doing all these activities that are like, throwing darts against a dartboard, hoping something will stick.
I agree.
Just need to do a couple of things that are proven and you'll get results, and you can be conscious and present.
I agree. I don't know why it is the humankind, particularly in the West, we have this, and hopefully this period will demonstrate that by slowing down and taking it a little bit easier and going back in our cocoons, that we're not losing out. I think we're in such a hurry for, through the 80s and 90s and noughties that if we weren't always on the go, we would, we thought we were losing out. But I guess just to pivot on the questions a little bit. So I mentioned before that, we're facing each other on technology here. And one of the people that I interviewed was Ted Rubin, who's the CMO of Photify in the States. I think it was he. I keep quoting this. And I think he said that that there's been some surveys done that demonstrate that particularly for the younger generations, they can actually build trust quicker online, right, than face-to-face, because they've done their research. They're facing each other straight on. There's no social distractions. What do you think of that? Do you think there is something in that? That's the first question. And the second question is, how do you think the move to online will impact sales? So do you think there's something in the fact that there is, in some respects, it's easier to build trust online? And then how do you think this will impact sales?
Very good. So I have been a completely virtual company for 26 years. And we've served over 6,000 client family members in 19 different countries. So number one, I can say that you can absolutely build trust.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is before, because I started 26 years ago, we didn't have webcams, there was no Zoom, there was no social media. So we used the phone. And it absolutely worked, 100%. Yeah. Most of my client family members, I didn't even meet unless they came to an event. And sometimes it was 10 or 11 years later. It's like, oh my gosh. And I can tell you that online 1,000,000% works. I mean, we have had so many companies coming to us saying, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm an accountant, I'm used to working directly with people. How do I go virtual? Yeah. And that's what we've helped with. I can tell you that brands have been built completely virtual, just like mine. And it's easier today than ever. And many people prefer to actually have this kind of engagement. And for me personally, I love this engagement. I'll be transparent.
Yeah.
I don't have to, get all dressed up
I
and
agree.
march out to an office. I really dig this. And I feel the only thing missing that I would love to have, Simon, is a hug. And at some point, maybe we will actually have that. That's what I
No, I agree with you. It's funny because I posted, and I'm the same, and I work from home. My wife is working in the front room and I'm working in the back room, and we have a door between us. And I love the fact that you don't have to get in the car and drive. And I posted something on LinkedIn today about this, about the fact that are we ever going to we're unlikely, I think, to ever get back to the way it was. We get in our car and drive 1 hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours each way, and we'd commute and pollute. And then we'd be sitting on a desk like a rabbit, in a little cage kind of thing. And it's so artificial. Whereas today, and I posted some facts and figures about, I think it was in terms of productivity rates, I think this was an American survey, that they're up. People thought they would be down, but they're up. I think nearly 60% people said that they're more productive this way. And also, and this may be more of a negative, but 60% say they were working harder, but I think they work together. So I honestly, do you think we're never going to go back to exactly the way it was before? Do you think there will be more of a hybrid going forward?
I think there definitely will be a hybrid. I mean, if you look at a company like Facebook, and I have a lot of friends that work for Facebook, Facebook is giving them $10,000 to set up their home office and not to return to the workforce, and is saying when the leases are up on all the different buildings that Facebook has, they're just going to eliminate most of them. Yeah. So I think we're realizing that we can work at home, and there is no reason to always be in an office. And here's an interesting study. I think it was the Harvard Business Review that did this about 10 years ago. Yeah. They studied American corporations, and the statistic stayed in my mind forever. They said 63% of the average American's workday in an office was non-productive.
It doesn't surprise me.
Right? It was having coffee, having a break, meeting for water, going out smoking a cigarette.
Looking at the internet.
I was just going to say that, right? YouTube, whatever. And so actually being in an office, I remember when I was president of a national healthcare company here in the US, people walked in my office every 2 minutes and I thought, I can't get any work done.
Yeah.
And when I started this business, said, I'm not going to have an office outside my home. I
Mm.
know for me, I can be way more productive at home
Me
and
too.
I don't have to spend, an hour commuting each way and then time wasted. So I think that we are waking up as a worldwide
I
global
think so.
economy to this idea.
I think you're 100% right. And I guess something to follow on from that. So that your work around the heartrepreneur, and you'd imagine that really only applies when you're face to face and you're in the hug environment. But to what extent does that value-based, relationship-based heartrepreneur relationship forming, how easy is that online for you? How easy is it to continue that? Have you had to tweak this at all, or I'm interested?
No, so Heartrepreneur is virtual as well as in person. It doesn't matter. It's just that I like to hug. I'm a hugger. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter at all. So of the 6,000 or so people that we've served over the years, I've probably never met maybe even a tenth of them. I would meet them if they happened to come to a live event or I was keynote speaking or they came to a book signing. Other than that, I've never met them. So nothing in our business changed because Heartrepreneur stands for doing business with heart
Yeah.
in any relationship. It doesn't matter if we're together or not.
Yeah.
And so nothing has had to be tweaked. What I've had to do, the only thing I've had to do is help business owners that have never gone virtual. They really believed that I have to do face to face,
Yeah.
learn. They could be a business consultant, they could be an accountant, they could be an attorney, they could
Yeah.
be a healthcare provider, and they could actually do it with a Heartrepreneur methodology,
Yeah.
yet virtually.
So I guess just following on in the last 5 minutes or so, how do businesses online, and maybe you cover some of this in Turbocharge Your Business, or maybe you don't, but because if everybody's online, how do you make yourself stand out? How do you make yourself get recognized? How do you do that?
I'm actually really glad you asked that question because that is where my expertise lies.
Okay.
So I create something with my clients called a core unique positioning statement. It's trademarked, actually. Core unique positioning statement. It's not an elevator pitch and it's not a USP. It's a statement that starts with something like I help, I serve, or I support.
Yes.
Then specifically who, women between 20 and 30 who want to lose weight, for example. Then you give the one result, help them lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks, one result. And then you add this word, guaranteed. Okay. And it has to be something you can really guarantee. So while everyone else is out there going, oh, I help people lose weight, you actually have something that makes your business stand out. So people turn their heads. So my guarantee is I'll grow your business 200%.
Yes.
Guaranteed, or I'll give you all your money back plus $5,000.
Yeah.
I have never met another business strategist that says what I say.
No, I agree.
So that unique positioning, right, gets someone to go, what? And that's what you're looking to do, especially online.
Wow. The only other one I've come across, and I'm a certified coach with the Marshall Goldsmith Stakeholder Coaching Organization, and their tagline, our tagline, is guaranteed measurable results.
Yeah.
And they're guaranteed because the system ensures that you as a coach can only work for a client if you know that the client and the sponsors are actually following the program. And if you suspect at any stage they're not, you have to down tools and risk not getting paid. So from that perspective, there has to be guaranteed improvement. So
absolutely.
That's interesting. So just wrapping up, if you were going to sort of whisper, if you were going to go back to the younger version of Terri and you were going to whisper 2 or 3 words of wisdom to yourself to give you the best chance in your life, what 2 or 3 things would you have told yourself?
So I'd say a couple of things. First is be fully present.
Yes.
Not thinking about the past or the future. The second thing I would say is be authentic, transparent, and in integrity. You don't need to be a cookie cutter version of anyone else or model anyone else. Just come from your heart. And business is actually easy, effortless, joyful, and fun.
Wow, that's such a powerful way to end. And it sounds simple, but I think a lot of people just make their lives so complicated. I think if you bring it down to those bare facts and you're mindful, you live in the moment, and you treat everybody with dignity and respect, I think people will be amazed at what business they can gain by living that virtuous life. So it's been really great chatting with you. So
An
how do people
honor.
find out about you and your books and your work and everything? How do people connect with you?
So the best ways are two different ways. One, you can go to heartrepreneur.com. Well, there's actually three. You can go to Amazon and you can just look at my author page, Terri Levine. Or the third way, where I'm very, very active, I'm active on Facebook in a group called Heartrepreneurs with Terri Levine. And this is a group of people doing business with heart that love to refer and do business together.
That's perfect. Well, I leave this conversation. You've got a wonderful smile. I feel really uplifted after this conversation. I've really enjoyed it. And I'm going to check out the book, Turbocharge Your Business. And I'll also look at all your websites, etc. And I recommend other people do the same. And I'll be recommending, I think the work you do is, it's about results, but in that self-aware, mindful way, which is kind of unique, is pretty unique. So anyway, it's been great chatting with you. And thanks so much for your time. Thank you.
Your pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.